Greetings, Ant Venturers. Today we are exploring the future of spaceflight through a gateway at the Kennedy Space Center. Enjoy this walkthrough of Gateway, and I'll be back in a few minutes to tell you about the space-flown hardware that you can see inside the Gateway building, and a little bit about the simulator rides you can experience at Spaceport KSC. Here at KSC, we have the Orion space capsule. This is an actual flown one. There it is, Orion capsule. Space flown, which is very cool. Above us, we have the Dream Ship. Then over here we have the Blue Origin capsule, New Shepard. I was gonna say New Glenn, but it's New Shepard. The New Shepard one. And then of course, there's Boeing's Starliner mock-up. Walk over here. I don't believe this one has flown, from what I understand. Yeah, it's just a mock-up. Look inside here. That's what it looks like. And then of course we have the one that has actually flown. We've got our Falcon 9 above us, and then the Dragon capsule. Battle tested has landed in the Atlantic or Pacific, I don't remember which one. Let's see if we have any more. Now, to depart from Spaceport KSC, you have to head up this ramp past the space flown hardware and get a really good view of the Falcon 9 from this vantage point. But let me tell you how the Space Center describes Spaceport KSC. So it says, enter into the spaceport of the future and embark on one of 4 incredible space journeys in Spaceport KSC. Fly to destinations never before explored, such as Mars, Horsehead Nebula, Saturn, Jupiter, and more during this motion theater ride. On your way to the gate, experience the sights and sounds of a galactic spaceport and peer through digital windows for views of a busy spaceport with ground transportation movement, launches, and landings. Then proceed towards the destination gates, where you would choose between 4 journeys entitled Cosmic Wonders, Daring Explorers, Red Planet, and Uncharted Worlds. The day we were there, it was not very busy, so we were able to enjoy all 3 of the rides that were open that day. So they have 4 simulator bays, simulator rooms, whatever you want to call them. Spaceships, I suppose, would be a fun way to say it as well. So there are 4 of those, but there were only 3 adventures going on. I think the one we did not get to try was Daring Explorers, if I remember correctly. Cosmic Wonders and Uncharted Worlds were very educational in telling you about the galaxies beyond, whereas Red Planet was taking you on an adventure to Mars and felt a little bit more like a fun simulator ride, though still educational at the same time. The graphics, motion, the feeling of kind of a danger, oh, we gotta get through the situation, was a lot of fun. So highly recommend, if you're going to choose an adventure, you choose Red Planet to enjoy that. There was no filming allowed on the ride, so we can't show you anything about it, but it was a lot of fun, and you should try one of the experiences when you visit the Kennedy Space Center Visitors Complex. If you have any questions about the Kennedy Space Center, please let me know down in the comments, or if you're just excited to see more Kennedy Space Center videos, we have more of those coming here in the future. If you enjoyed this video, we ask that you do 2 things for us. 1 is share this video with a space-loving friend, and 2 would be subscribe to this channel if you enjoyed this video and other videos we've made, so we can continue to grow and make more videos about cool destinations here in Florida. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you again next time on the next adventure.
Dear Snoopy, ever since you were associated with safety at NASA in the 1960s, the Silver Snoopy Award has become one of the most prestigious honors an employee who contributed to the human spaceflight program might receive. You have been part of many missions and flown with your fellow astronauts on several journeys throughout the years, and we need your help again.
Mail call, Snoopy. Looks like you have a letter here from an Artemis? That's an unusual name for a dog. Dear Snoopy, please get to the Johnson Space Center by 0900 Central to start your training. Don't forget Astronaut Woodstock. Sincerely yours, Charlie Blackwell Thompson, NASA. Astronaut Woodstock? NASA? Wait, Snoopy!
I didn't realize you'd taken up jogging, Charlie Brown.
I haven't. I've taken up chasing. I'm following Snoopy. He's on his way to NASA.
Sounds like you may be suffering from some sort of space delusion. Good thing the doctor is in.
I know it's unbelievable, but Snoopy just got a letter from NASA. It's about something called Artemis from someone named Charlie Blackwell Thompson.
Charlie Blackwell Thompson? She's NASA's first woman launch director. She's a trailblazer, one of my personal heroes.
That's very impressive, but what does she want with Snoopy and Woodstock? And what is the Artemis mission?
Charlie Brown, the next mission to the moon is called Artemis.
Oh, I see. I thought it was a funny name for a dog.
The name comes from Greek mythology. Artemis was Apollo's sister.
Well, Snoopy was the safety mascot for the Apollo missions. Maybe they want him for Artemis as well?
Artemis is very historic. The mission will land the first woman and first person of color on the moon. I wonder if they'd consider letting me be the first woman on the moon.
I think you need years of training to be an astronaut.
That's true. And I do have plans later today. Plus those suits. Orange isn't really my color.
Maybe you could wait until the spacesuits are blue.
Good idea. I'll be the fifth woman on the moon. And speaking of 5 cents, please.
Good grief.
$5? Sorry, no change.
Excuse me? I'm looking for my dog, Snoopy. He's a black and white beagle with delusions of grandeur. Marcy!
It's nice to see you, Charles.
You work for NASA?
Not officially. I'm just here for the extra credit and the freeze-dried ice cream.
So, is Snoopy really training for a mission?
He is. In fact, he's now at Kennedy Space Center on Launch Pad 39B.
I see. Is that a good launch pad?
It's the very same pad used to launch Apollo 10, and now it's about to lift off on Artemis.
What? You're launching Snoopy to the moon? I haven't even packed in my lunch.
Oh, not yet, Charles. Not until Artemis 3. Today, astronauts Snoopy and Woodstock are here to test out the Orion spacecraft. That's the astronaut's command module on top of the SLS.
SLS?
Short for the Space Launch System. It's the most powerful rocket ever built. Did you know in order to reach escape velocity, that's the amount of power rockets rocket wings to escape Earth's atmosphere, it must create 3.5 million kilograms or 7.2 million pounds of thrust.
That does sound powerful.
Okay, stand by. All systems are go.
I hope Snoopy is alright.
Nothing more than a gentle rocking motion, Charles. Once liberated from the Earth's gravity, the Orion spacecraft will circle the moon and travel over 40,000 miles beyond the moon before returning to Earth.
That's incredible. I hope you're getting a lot of extra credit, Marcy.
Soon, Snoopy Woodstock will be back on Earth and look through all the data they collected. Next, a crewed flight, Artemis 2, will orbit the moon. And finally, Artemis 3 will actually land on the moon. First time we have in more than 50 years.
That's a long time between visits. How long will it stay on the moon?
We're not sure, but long enough to build a coffee shop.
What? Really?
Just a little moon humor, Charles. But by landing astronauts on the moon, NASA is hoping to carry on knowledge of Earth and learn how to support life away from Earth. This will take many years of human distance in the future.
That's amazing. Oh, Lucy wanted me to ask when they're going to make blue spacesuits.
I imagine it won't be too long. It's fun to imagine what may happen in the future, isn't it?
These new spacesuits are so lightweight, you can barely feel them.
We can move so freely. We can do almost anything.
They are impressive, but I still wish they came in blue.
Come on, gang. We better start collecting these moon rocks.
Why do we always have to collect moon rocks anyway?
Moon rocks help us learn more about the lunar surface and the very history of our galaxy.
Plus, they're kind of pretty.
Speaking of pretty, what of you? Hello, Earth. On the moon, traveling in the sky, I feel so light I could fly and fly. Round and round is safe and sound, but it's more fun going up and down. I'm enjoying a state of grace in this place that is space. On the moon, traveling in the sky, I feel so light I could fly and fly. Astronaut Snoopy Woodstock, this is Mission Control Earth. Can you hear us? Please respond. Orion reached the orbiting platform on Gateway. They should be in the station by now, but they're not responding.
Oh no!
Don't be concerned just yet, Charlie Brown. I think they know what they're up to. There they are. Like I thought, they're floating around in zero gravity, getting familiar with your new home on Gateway.
Knowing Snoopy, he was looking for snacks in the refrigerator.
The Gateway Space Station is a key element for the future of space travel. It's solar powered, so the sun's rays will provide the energy and power to allow humans to live and work on the moon.
And power the refrigerator.
Exactly. And speaking of snacks, as we prepare for missions to the moon and Mars, we're learning how to sustain life in extreme environments. Snoopy will help grow vegetables inside a Gateway as they orbit, then send the veggies back to Earth for analysis.
That's impressive. I can't even get Snoopy to bring me my slippers.
The Human Landing System, or HLS, connected to the Gateway will allow them to take trips down to the moon and return safely to the lunar orbit. hurl them into other planets like Earth.
That's interesting. But is any of that helpful to Snoopy right now? You know.
But reciting facts suits me.
Asteroids can cause a lot of damage if they hit a planet. Or Snoopy and Woodstock in this case. Good grief.
Good morning. We're going to create America's next spacecraft. It's going to launch like a rocket and land like an airplane, and it's going to be reusable.
Can't do that with a rocket.
It's not a rocket, it's a shuttle.
Now it's time to go to the next step. From sketch pad to launch pad. Going to the moon was a camping trip. Now our job is to work and live in space. This vehicle has to do something that we have never done before. Perform 4 key tasks and be able to do them over and over again. There is nothing easy about putting a ship back up into space, let alone a whole fleet of ships. But first, let's talk about the launch. We have never designed engines and vehicles that can be reused. But we will, and once we're in orbit, we go to work. We want to take all kinds of cargo up there in addition to the people. Science labs, satellites, even a space station. And when all the work is done, we gotta bring everybody back home. All right now. The country's waiting. Let's build ourselves a space shuttle.
It's too big, it's too heavy. We're launching one spaceship on the back of an even bigger one.
What if we split the booster into its pieces? Rockets, fuel tank.
It's supposed to be reusable. How do we get all those parts home?
What if we just throw the fuel tank away? We're writing all new processes, procedures, manuals. We've never had to reuse a ship before.
We're also going to have to build some really big garages.
Sir, what if she lands somewhere other than Florida? How'd she get back here? It's a glider.
Buy her a plane ticket home.
Ablative heat shields are heavy, and they burn up on re-entry. We need a more reusable solution. Silica foam tiles, thousands of them, fitted together in one lightweight, reusable heat shield.
Another hold up with the engines? Tell me some good news with the tiles.
The heat shield bond keeps failing. The tiles keep falling off.
So in other words, how long? How long?
1.5 to 2 years.
Well, this is going to be fun to tell my boss. Everybody get back to work.
How do you feel?
I'll let you know.
hopes and prayers of all Americans with you. And Astronaut John Young, the commander of the mission, replied, "That's a right fine speech. We sure appreciate it."
The launch of Columbia marks NASA's first manned mission. 4 minutes, 30 seconds, and counting. This is a launch unlike any other.
This is the final 5 minutes of the presentation. Afterwards, you guys will enter into the main exhibit hall. Should you need to leave before, there are 2 exits located in the front. Please enjoy your visit.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Kennedy Space Center. My name's Bob, and I'm going to be your escort this morning as we head out to the Apollo Saturn V Center. We're going to be about 15 minutes or so getting to Saturn V. And as we're traveling, we will go by the Vehicle Assembly Building, and you're going to get a good look at the VAB. You're going to get a lot of information about the building. And then once you get out to the Saturn V Center, there you will see a real Saturn V moon rocket laid out there in the building with a lot of other neat space artifacts that are there. And you will also get to see both the launch pads at Kennedy Space Center, pad 39A, 39B. And there's an area where you can get some pictures and things if you'd like to do that. We will point that out as we get closer. As we're traveling right now, it is extremely important that everyone remains seated. We certainly don't want anyone hurt on the bus. And then we also ask everyone to please be very considerate of talking and conversation so everybody can hear, and we want you to enjoy all the information. Folks, thank you so much for being here with us today. It's going to be an exciting weekend, and we're looking forward to you having a good time. Thank you very much, and we're on our way.
Ignition sequence start.
Now they'll step off the limb now. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We have pondered our place amongst the stars since the dawn of humankind. We've looked at the stars with wonder and amazement, their glow guiding our travel for centuries.
Folks, let me point out right quick here as we go by, standing right there is a real Mercury Redstone rocket right there. That is a real Mercury Redstone. And the Mercury Redstone rockets were the first rockets NASA used here at Kennedy Space Center to place human beings into space. And The capsule on that rocket could hold one person only, and they came to NASA as ballistic missiles from the U.S. Army. NASA converted them over to become rockets to be able to carry humans on board. And you will get some more information about that.
This rocket that you'll see standing tall in front of KSC's badging station is the Mercury Redstone rocket. It represents NASA's earliest efforts to send humans into space. These Redstone rockets were formerly ballistic missiles provided to NASA by the U.S. Army. In October of 1958, NASA formally organized Project Mercury with a mission to investigate man's reaction to this new environment and safely recover the capsule and its pilot. Man rating for human spaceflight on what was previously a ballistic missile was no easy task. After several modifications and test flights, a Mercury capsule carrying Ham, a chimpanzee, was successfully launched and recovered on January 31st, 1961. Just months later, on May 5th, astronaut Alan Shepard launched on a Mercury Redstone rocket, becoming the first American in space.
Hi, I'm Janet Petro, and welcome to NASA's John F. Kennedy Space Center, where NASA astronauts have ventured forth on flights of exploration since the 1960s. And what an exciting time to visit our multi-user spaceport. Through our Commercial Crew program, we are sending astronauts to the International Space Station from American soil for the first time since the Space Shuttle program ended in 2011. We're continuing to launch new research experiments and supplies to the space station with our commercial resupply services and launching the most technologically advanced scientific instruments to date into space through our Launch Services program. This all culminates in our ultimate mission, the Artemis program, where NASA will return to the moon, this time with the first woman and first person of color, and continue on to Mars. In all our history, there's been one common theme woven throughout our DNA. It's our insatiable desire to explore beyond our home planet in our never-ending quest to expand our knowledge of the universe. As you venture behind the gates, you'll find a community of the most talented, dedicated, motivated workforce anywhere in the world who believe in the unlimited potential of space exploration. This is an active spaceport where new things are happening every day. You never know what you might see, so enjoy your tour.
You are now approaching the Vehicle Assembly Building, or as NASA calls it, the VAB. It is one of the largest buildings in the world by volume, and is the place where NASA completes the final assembly of its rockets before launch. The sheer scale of this building is hard to grasp, even when you're right next to it.
Do you ever feel really small when you think about space? What about when you're standing next to a skyscraper or a really big bridge? Well, I feel about as small as an ant right now. I'm standing inside the Vehicle Assembly Building trying to grasp how large it really is in here. It has 4 bays. Each bay has 2 large horizontal doors below it and 7 smaller vertically opening doors above it, tall enough to fit the world's largest rocket through. In fact, these are the largest doors in the world.
Construction of the VAB required 65,000 cubic yards of concrete, 45,000 steel beams, 1 million steel bolts amounting to almost 100,000 tons of steel. Notice the flag painted on the outside of the VAB? It's the size of a 21-story building. The blue section alone is the size of an NBA basketball court. Each star is 6 feet across, and each red and white stripe is wide enough for this bus to drive down. And the entire VAB? It's so huge that the Roman Colosseum would fit on the roof with room to spare for a parking lot. By volume, the VAB can fit 3.5 Empire State Buildings, and it would take 250 billion ping pong balls to fill it.
Would anybody want to start counting those ping pong balls? Maybe not.
Every Saturn V rocket that sent humans to the moon was assembled right here. Every space shuttle mission also assembled within these same walls. After the space shuttle program, a major renovation to the inside of this building began to accommodate NASA's next generation of rockets, the Space Launch System, or SLS.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we get closer here to the VAB now, I'm going to give you a lot more information here about the building. The Vehicle Assembly Building is the world's largest one-story building. It's 525 feet tall, 160 meters. All one story. You can walk into the ground floor of this building almost anywhere, look up and see the ceiling. The building itself takes up almost 9 acres on the inside perimeter. Our American flag, that is the world's largest hand-painted flag. It was painted by hand with brushes and rollers on the building. 210 feet in length, 110 feet in width. The stripes are 8.5 feet wide. The field of stars is the size of a professional basketball court. Stars themselves 6 feet around, point to point. Folks, it took 632 gallons of paint to paint that flag. And it has been repainted since the first time, hand painted. Here on the west side of the building, you have a set of big gray doors here. These are called high bay doors. The high bay doors are 456 feet tall, and it does take about an hour and 10 minutes to completely open a set of those doors. And now as we pass these little buildings, coming into view over here is a tall tower, launch tower, standing on top of a brand new mobile launch platform. And this was built preparing it for SLS Artemis. The first Artemis launch flew off of that tower, from that tower and that platform out at Pad B just about 3 months ago. And they brought it back and they're preparing it for the next launch. And now we have one more section of video here that we're going to show, and then we're going to pull into the Saturn V Center.
Some say the moon. Why choose this as our goal? And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain? Why 35 years ago fly the Atlantic? Why does Rice play Texas? We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
When President John F. Kennedy made this speech in 1962, he set in motion an era of discovery that would change humankind forever. 7 years after he spoke these ambitious words, the world watched as Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin became the first people to walk on the moon. The achievements of the men and women who worked on the space program in these early decades of NASA helped propel the technology we use every day. NASA and the thriving private space industry at Kennedy Space Center today are the living legacy of their story. As we arrive at the Apollo Saturn V Center to learn more about that historic era, get ready to step back into a time when NASA had everything to prove to a nation focused on one goal: to be the first country to land a person on the moon.
Ladies and gentlemen, now pulling in here, just to point out our two launch pads for you. Right straight ahead of us, you can see through the trees, across the water there. That is launch pad 39A right out there. 39A has been our most used launch pad from the beginning. There were 82 shuttle launches flying from that pad, and now it is used by SpaceX. And that's where the launch is scheduled Monday morning at the astronaut launch at 1:49 a.m. right there from Pad A. Pad 39B is up here toward the north side. 53 shuttle launches went from Pad B, and now NASA has it prepared and ready for the SLS Artemis. And that's where the first Artemis launch took place, right there at Pad B. While you're here, ladies and gentlemen, you can go clear to the east side of the building and you can get pictures, get a good look at the launch pads, whatever you'd like to do. You can stay here as long as you like. Right now you're going to go to the steel doors. You do not have to get into a line there either. You can get up there as close as you like. The buses do keep coming through, so whenever you're ready to go back, follow the exit signs out of the building and we'll take you right on back. Folks, please make sure you have all your personal things with you, and I certainly hope you have a wonderful time today. Thank you very much.
Elected by Apollo astronauts. You can even touch a piece of the moon yourself by visiting the Touch the Moon display located near the Lunar Theater. At the Lunar Theater, located at the nose end of the Saturn V rocket, you can relive the experience of Neil Armstrong's historic landing and her steps on the moon. As you enter, please move all the way to the front of the theater to make room for the guests behind you. Our presentation will begin. Of NASA and Kennedy Space Center, welcome to the Apollo Saturn V Center. Our presentation will begin in a few short moments. For the comfort, safety, and viewing pleasure of all our guests, we ask that you silence cell phones and refrain from flash photography for the duration of our presentation. Please note that this is a no-smoking facility. If you must leave the theater during the presentation, please use the exit door located behind you at the rear of the theater. Thank you. It is with great pride that we present the story of NASA's Apollo program, the greatest adventure mankind has ever undertaken.
When I was a kid, I used to dream about flying through space. Every week on TV, I'd watch my heroes as they jumped into their rocket ships and took to the stars. And I wanted to be like them. They had courage, imagination, and no problem ever stood in their way for long. And in the end, when we actually did send men into space, it turned out that those were exactly the qualities it took.
I'm John Hudson. This is Pad 39 at the Kennedy Space Center. I was a launch controller here when from this very spot, man took off to fly to the moon. It was a journey that began 12 years before that rocket ever left the ground. And it started on the other side of the world.
Back then, we were one of two superpowers that always seemed to be on the edge of a terrible war. In 1957, the Soviet Union launched the first ever man-made satellite into Earth orbit. They called it Sputnik, which means traveling companion. And in a world where peace hung in a delicate balance, it seemed to create a dangerous advantage. Every ham radio operator in America could hear it beeping. People were afraid. Were the Soviets looking down on us? Watching us? If they could make a satellite pass over our cities, could they do the same with a bomb? Our own space program kicked into high gear, and less than 2 months later, we were ready to launch our own satellite. The space race, and we were running a distant second. In 1961, we fell even further behind. Soviet cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin became the first man into space, circling the world in just 89 minutes. We had our own astronauts, and they were eager and ready to take the big ride. But our manned space program couldn't seem to get off the ground. We stuck with it, and on May 5th, 1961, things finally started going right. Astronaut Alan Shepard took his ship Freedom 7 6.5 miles into space. America had its first space hero. Just a few days later, our space program received a new challenge. But this one did not come from the Soviet Union. It came from our young president. In one inspiring moment, he changed the mission. From one based in fear of the present to one of hope for the future.
But why, some say, the moon? Why choose this as our goal? And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain? Why, 35 years ago, fly the Atlantic? Why does Rice play Texas? We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon. And do the other thing, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
We hadn't been more than 16 minutes into space, and now we were going to the moon. We would have to design a rocket the size of a 36-story office building, put it together with the precision of a microscope, and accelerate it to the speed of the moon. Then we would have to guide it to a moving target 250,000 miles away. Many people thought it was an impossible dream, but 400,000 of us set about making that dream a reality. It would be the longest, most hazardous voyage that any man had dared to attempt. But step by step, mission by mission, we orbited the Earth, perfecting the skills and technologies we would need on this incredible journey. Our astronauts practiced maneuvering, docking, and the 1,000 other tasks that would comprise the moon mission. We created new alloys, lighter and stronger than anything seen before. We designed communication systems that would be reliable over the vast distances. And behind it all, we tried to perfect the rocket, that would be powerful enough to punch out of Earth orbit and take us to the moon. One day, however, the dream of flying to the moon almost slipped away. It was January 27th, 1967. Astronauts Virgil Gus Grissom, Edward White, and Roger Chaffee were on board Apollo 1 for a plugs-out test, a full-scale dress rehearsal for the actual launch. Suddenly it happened. There was a fire in the capsule. 3 men whose lives had been in our hands were lost.
Surely the opening vistas of space promise high costs and hardships, as well as high reward. But this country of the United States was not built by those who waited and rested and wished to look behind them.
After Apollo 1, some thought we'd failed, and that the moon was out of our reach. But we owed it to those men to learn from their sacrifice and to carry on. We started taking the Apollo vehicle apart piece by piece. Was the design flawed? Had safety been compromised? Tough questions. And we spent 1.5 years redesigning the spacecraft so that no astronaut's life would ever be at risk because we overlooked something or because we could have done something better. A moon rocket is 91% high explosive, and it goes into the most unforgiving, hazardous environment there is. We could never make it risk-free, and the men who flew them knew that. We didn't send men into space again until Apollo 7 orbited the Earth testing some of the new designs. When everything worked perfectly, the decision was made. The next mission would travel to the moon. It was mankind's destiny to leave the shores of our planet behind and strike out across the vast ocean of space. In the great span of our history, now was the time that we could. Now was the time that we would. We stood on the eve of the longest, most dangerous journey that any man had ever undertaken. And it would be taken by Frank Borman, James Lovell, and William Anders, the crew of Apollo 8. Through those doors, you'll find the firing room, launch control, just as it was on December 21st, 1968.
Please gather all of your belongings, take small children by the hand, and proceed through the open doors to firing room number 1. All strollers, wheelchair guests, and wheelers. Please watch your step and use the handrails on the stairs. Continue moving forward in order to make room for the guests entering behind you. Guests with special physical needs, including wheelchairs and hearing disabilities, please be seated in the front row.
At this hour, here at 6:30, they still plan to go ahead with it. To send 3 men to the moon and back. I'll repeat that. To send 3 men to the moon and back.
For the comfort, safety, and viewing pleasure of all our guests, we ask that you refrain from flash photography for the duration of our presentation. If you must leave during our presentation, please exit through the doors on your right. Thank you.
This moment, nothing appears to stand between Apollo 8 and the moon except the sky.
For the comfort, safety, and viewing pleasure of all our guests, we ask that you refrain from flash photography for the duration of our presentation. If you must leave during the presentation, please exit through the doors on your right. Thank you.
This is the firing room. Launch control for the Apollo missions. This is not a mock-up. These are the very consoles we sat in when men first took off to fly to the moon. The tragedy of Apollo 1 had put us a year and a half behind. We were making up for it in one big leap. And we were doing it with a rocket that no man had ever flown before. It was a few days before Christmas, 1968, when Apollo 8 sat on the pad. She was the first of a new kind, a moon rocket. This was the Phoenix, risen from the ashes of Apollo 11. The first Apollo crew did not die in vain. This was to be their testament. Stories high, she had been fully fueled throughout the night. The liquid oxygen in her tanks caused ice to form on the outside of the craft. The extreme temperature difference between the air and the sub-zero fuel caused the metal skin of the rocket to expand and contract. Everyone was on the pad agreed. It was as though the rocket was alive, breathing, straining at the leash. Earlier in the morning, astronauts Frank Borman, Jim Lovell, and Bill Anders had made their final preparations before taking that long ride out to the waiting spacecraft. The minimum safe distance from the Saturn V at liftoff was 3 miles. The reason was simple. When fully fueled, the rocket contained the explosive power of an atomic bomb. As the clock counted down, the astronauts and all of us in launch control went through the pre-flight checks. Our hands on the controls of the most powerful, most complex machine ever built. It had over 2 million separate systems. And to bring these men back alive, everything had to work perfectly. Each individual system had been tested, but what we didn't know was how they would perform when all 2 million began to work together. That moment would come when the countdown clock reached 0. If a maneuvering thruster failed, if communications broke down, if navigation was off by 1 degree, if any piece of the miles of wiring, circuits, relays, or valves was defective, Frank Borman, Jim Lovell, and Bill Anders would pay with their lives. As they sat, waiting for launch on that chill December morning, these 3 astronauts were back to what they had always been, test pilots. You are now in the final minutes before the launch of Apollo 8, right here where it actually happened. Mankind is about to leave his planet behind and journey to another. It is one of those rare moments when history is not being made, destiny is being embraced.
T-minus 3 minutes and counting. We have completed our communications checks with the Apollo 8 astronauts in the cabin, and the communications are go. During this period, once we do get the firing command, the various tanks within the 3 stages of the Saturn V launch vehicle begin to pressurize. status board indicates that all aspects are ready. Instrument unit is ready, spacecraft ready, final check of the emergency detection system, that ready light also on. First stage preparations are completed.
All systems ready, okay. We're on. Ready to go to ground,
And I order. Okay, you're on.
All systems go.
1 minute 45 seconds and counting. The first stage liquid oxygen tank has been pressurized and the pressure is still building up. Coming up in 90 seconds, mark, T-minus 90 seconds and counting. The Apollo 8 crew standing by, spacecraft commander Frank Borman, Jim Lover, Bill Anders. We now report that the liquid hydrogen tank on the third stage is pressurized. 1 minute 15 seconds. All third stage propellants pressurized at this time as we come up on a 60-second mark on the flight to the moon. T-minus 60 seconds and counting. The vehicle now is completely pressurized. We're coming up on a power transfer shortly. We have the power transfer. We're now on the flight batteries within the launch vehicle. Final reports coming from Frank Borman at this time. Final look at the switch list aboard the spacecraft. 20 seconds, all aspects. We are still go at this time. Minus 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9. Sequence start. The engines are on. 4.
Apollo 8 successfully orbited the moon, and the astronauts returned safely to the Earth. I know. I'm Jim Mullen, and I was one of the crew of this spacecraft, Apollo 8. We were the first men to see the surface of the moon from just a few miles away. But it was the hundreds of thousands of men and women who worked in the team, and the millions of people who supported the mission that really made it possible. That way, I guess, we all went to the moon. Now, on the other side of those doors, you'll find an actual Saturn V moon rocket. It's still the most powerful, the most complex machine ever built. And I guess it's the only one that can take you to another planet. I actually got to fly on a second flight to the moon called Apollo 13. But that's another story.
Please watch your step as you exit the firing room. Continue your journey to the lunar field, located near the planet of Saturn V. Enjoy your visit to the Apollo Saturn V Center.
my first opportunity to see them on. Hotel number 4.
Ladies and gentlemen, please watch your step and use handrails while on the stairs. As a courtesy to others, we ask that there be no smoking or flash photography during the presentation.
As soon as the Eagle reappears, things begin to go wrong. Radio communications break down. Messages to Eagle must be relayed through Mike Collins aboard the command module Columbia. Throughout the crucial final checks, contact with the Eagle keeps dropping out. And Flight Director Gene Kranz inches closer to aborting the mission.
Hey, we got data back. Radar flight looks good.
With the vital computer links temporarily holding, the moment of decision is now.
Okay, all flight controllers, don't go for landing. Retro. Go, I don't go. I know, control.
Go. Telcom, go. GNC, go. Econ, go. Surgeon, go. Capcom, we're go for landing. Eagle, Gibson, you're go for landing, over.
Hurtling toward the moon at 3,800 miles per hour, Neil Armstrong notices his checkpoints are all appearing too soon. This means a serious navigation error.
You think you're a little long downrange?
At these speeds, 3 seconds long means missing the safe landing zone by 3 miles. Suddenly, the computer starts firing the maneuvering thrusters, jolting the ship back and forth. This has happened in simulations, but never this much, never this violent. The smooth descent is becoming a bumpy ride. Before that is fixed, a problem with the onboard computer. The astronauts have rehearsed for thousands of possible malfunctions, but not this one. It had been considered too unlikely. Seconds seem like hours as everyone struggles to remember the meaning of a 1202 program alarm. The deadline to safely aboard is vanishing fast. 1202 means the Eagle's onboard computer is overloading. This means Houston is blind, unable to make navigation corrections or interpret the data coming from Eagle's computer. Armstrong and Aldrin are on their own. Mission Control decides they can go ahead if the data link doesn't fail again. 1,000 feet, and Neil Armstrong can see that the computer is proposing to put them down at a dangerous place. That landing site is full of boulders. If they land there, they will never take off again. At 350 feet, Armstrong ignores his computer navigation and veers away from the rocky landing site with no time to explain to Mission Control.
Okay, I'll flight control, everything tight.
In Mission Control, everybody is stunned. At 300 feet, the Eagle has left its flight plan and taken off at full speed across the face of the moon.
Eagle, Houston, it's descent to fuel. Monitor, over.
90 seconds of fuel remaining. Now less than 200 feet, and the Eagle is too low to safely abort back into orbit. They call this part of the flight plan Dead Man's Curve.
No level, no level.
All that's left for Mission Control is to read off the fuel remaining in seconds.
60 seconds, 60 seconds.
The entire moon landing has come down to 2 men and 1 minute.
4, 4. And half 30 seconds. 30 seconds. We copy on the ground. You got a bunch of guys about to turn blue. We're breathing again. Thanks a lot.
A short time later, history is made again.
Good, yeah, we can see you coming down the ladder now.
For one incredible moment, we are one people with one history, watching our destiny unfold. It was a moment shared by an entire world. these first steps, mankind stood on the highest ground. And we saw our planet as our home port in the endless ocean of space.
There was something which was surprising to me. That occurred as I was standing on the surface. Just after we had landed, I'd gone down, standing on the surface and looking at planet Earth for the first time. Seeing the beauty, seeing the finiteness of it, the limits of it, realizing what a shame it was that people were confronting each other on that planet without realizing what it was doing to the planet. It was a very emotional moment for me. I actually shed a couple of tears. Something totally unexpected for an engineer and fighter pilot to be crying quietly up there on the moon.
Mankind had achieved a tenuous foothold in the heavens, and a new and exciting world lay waiting to be explored. The first mission had stayed for only one day, but over the next 3.5 years, 5 more Apollo missions visited the moon, and with each one, we stayed longer, roamed further, and discovered more.
I never thought when I was a kid building rockets, in high school, that we would go to the moon, before the end of the century. I mean, I thought that was something that was way in the future, fantasy.
We've got to understand that as a people, we need to stretch. We need to reach beyond our grasp. We need to strive to do things that seem impossible, because in the accomplishment of them, we move society forward.
One of the astronauts has said those hills that we climbed give our children and grandchildren a different perspective, that they see the mountains that we couldn't see. And so what we consider impossible, they're dreaming about.
3, 2, 1.
When I have a chance to talk to kids, I tell them, the first thing I tell them is to take the word impossible out of their vocabulary. Go to their teacher tomorrow morning and scratch it out of the dictionary. The word doesn't exist. If I could stand here and tell you that I lived on the moon, that I called the moon my home for 3 days, you tell me what is impossible in this day and age, much less in a generation that follows, much less into the 21st century. Nothing is impossible.
I like exploring things, inventing. I would like to go up there, find out what's really up there.
I would like to be an astronaut. I like to design rockets.
Payload specialist.
I'd be ground controllers.
The thing that my mom can't understand is I'm terrified of heights, but I want to be an astronaut.
There's so many things I'd love to do. I would explore, I'd look for everything.
I would try to start a farm.
Millions of other galaxies that you might be able to live in.
It's the unknown. Anything's possible.
You may be able to cure certain diseases.
Find Mars and dance on it. Play basketball, but you can still be short. Because then you could fly up in the air. Baseball would be awesome.
Hit the ball, you get a home run every time.
There are a lot of things that could benefit mankind that we, because of science, we simply cannot do on Earth.
It's such a big universe, and it's kind of strange to think that just this one tiny planet was chosen to have life on it.
I hear they're finding new planets or moons, and find out more about how stars are working, and it makes me feel like it's trying to tell me something.
What's it trying to tell you?
That you belong up there with them.
The Apollo program ended in December of 1972, but our journey into space is just beginning. I'm Neil Armstrong. The future of space travel is being written right now in the dreams and imaginations of a new generation. Perhaps that's the greatest legacy of Apollo. It shows our children and grandchildren that with courage, imagination, and the will to explore, no dream is impossible.
step as you exit the theater. On behalf of NASA and the Kennedy Space Center, thank you for visiting the Apollo Saturn V.
How are you today?
What a lovely day.
How are you doing? Good.
Well, you're stuck with me again.
That works. You've been good before.
It's going to be about 12, 13 minutes or so getting back. As we're traveling back, we will go back by the vehicle assembly building, and you'll get a good look at the VAB as we go by. And then you're also going to get some information about the Merritt Island National Wildlife Refuge, which is located here at Kennedy Space Center. And Kennedy Space Center as a whole is made up of 144,000 acres. And that's approximately 220 square miles. And there's only about 7,000 to 8,000 of these acres that are developed. Everything else has been left natural for over 400 different species of wildlife that are here. So you're going to get some more information about that, and then there's a lot of things to do back at the visitor complex, and we'll talk about those as we get closer. Folks, while we're traveling now, it's important everyone remains seated so everybody stays safe, and we also ask everyone to please be considerate of talking and conversation so everybody can enjoy the information. Thank you very much for being with us, and we're on our way.
Please check around your seat to make sure you Since 2010, NASA's Commercial Crew Program has been working with American aerospace companies on creating cost-effective access to the International Space Station, or ISS, and other low Earth orbit missions. Launching from right here at Kennedy Space Center, astronauts can travel to the ISS aboard spacecraft developed by private companies SpaceX and Boeing. SpaceX's capsule, Crew Dragon, is capable of carrying up to 7 astronauts and cargo launched on SpaceX's own Falcon 9 rocket. Crew Dragon, upon returning to Earth, splashes down in the ocean in one of 7 different locations off the coast of Florida. These are chosen based on specific criteria such as weather and location of the spacecraft in orbit. On May 30th, 2020, SpaceX launched Demonstration Mission 2, also known as Demo 2, the first crewed test flight of the Crew Dragon. NASA's astronauts Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley launched to the ISS for the final step in proving the reliability of SpaceX.
I'm going to take a quick look. We did see a couple alligators laying out here a while ago. See if anybody is still there. Nope, they're gone.
Has also undergone orbital flight tests in order to send crews to the space station. It's able to seat up to 7 astronauts and cargo. Starliner launches atop an Atlas V rocket, made by United Launch Alliance, or ULA. Upon its return to Earth, rather than splashing down in the ocean, Starliner deploys airbags to land in the desert of the western United States. Starliner was actually the first American-made human-rated capsule to have landed on land. On September 4, 2015, Boeing opened its commercial crew and cargo processing facility in what was formerly the orbiter processing facility for the Space Shuttle program. This building you'll see adjacent to the VAB boasts a large, colorful mural of the Starliner in orbit. The Commercial Crew Program is allowing private companies to design in the most efficient and cost-effective way, while NASA engineers offer oversight and expertise. While these companies focus on providing transportation services to and from low Earth orbit, NASA is freed up to focus on deep space missions.
National Wildlife Refuge. While the refuge in total takes up 140,000 acres, NASA only occupies about 7,000 acres. Other than the few launch pads and facilities you see spotted across the horizon, this area remains a refuge for 150,000 species of plants and animals. I want to introduce you to Becky Bolt, who has been a NASA wildlife ecologist here at KSC for nearly 35 years. Becky, what kind of wildlife can we expect to see here today?
We have lots and lots of different kinds of wildlife. We have over 400 species that occur out here on the Space Center. Look in the ditches and you'll see lots of wading birds, tall herons, egrets, ibises. There's several species of those, and I can pretty much guarantee you're going to see some of those. We have bobcats, raccoons, all kinds of animals.
Now, what is your role as a wildlife ecologist?
One of the main things we do is support operations. So people always think, oh, that's launch. Well, Kennedy Space Center is big and we have a lot of employees. It's like a city. We have lots of roads, we have lots of buildings, and so there's lots of maintenance and construction. So anything that might impact the habitat or wildlife, we have to go out and we check it out, and we work with the project managers to make sure that animals aren't harmed. Gopher tortoises are notorious for this. They go places where they shouldn't be, and sometimes we have to move them. We also support launches. We do a lot of research because we help the land managers, which on Kennedy Space Center, the land managers are the Fish and Wildlife Service, because this is a wildlife refuge. We have federally listed scrub jays and federally listed beach mice. There's probably some watching us right now. And so we provide that data to them so they know how to manage the land in the best way.
What are some of the more recent projects you've worked on here?
The most exciting new project that we have, and it's not really new, it started in 2010, but it's been ongoing since then, is our Created Dune project. We were having problems with when there are bad storms, hurricanes, which we get a fair amount. It was destroying our primary dune here, and we were getting washover that was getting closer and closer to facilities. We created dunes and took lots of sand and spread it out and piled it up and planted it with native vegetation.
Oh yeah, because you can see there's a launch pad right here, the ocean's right there, and the dune is protecting it.
Right.
Well, Becky, thank you so much for teaching us how nature meets technology here at KSC, and hopefully our guests on our tour will see some of this wildlife today.
For more than 20 years, a pine tree along the Kennedy Parkway has been home to the largest eagle's nest on Kennedy Space Center. Eagles have long been a symbol at NASA for human spaceflight, including the famous Apollo 11 mission.
Folks, do want to point out as we pass these trees here, look over to the right, you see some tall industrial cranes there, and there's a brand new building. That facility was built by SpaceX, and that's where they bring their boosters after a launch. They bring them back there and they completely rebuild those boosters over and over. And they are expanding the facility there where they can get 4 or 5 boosters in there at the same time. And they save themselves a lot of time and money by completely rebuilding those boosters.
Kennedy Space Center.
Did you ever want to be an astronaut? Maybe it was the cool spacesuits, or the idea of floating in microgravity. Whatever the reason, it takes dreamers, thinkers, and adventurers to push the boundaries of human space exploration. But no matter how far we explore beyond our world, the journey ultimately starts right here, in the imagination of our youth. It is so important to support STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, focused education curricula to foster that next generation of rocket scientists, physicists, chemists, and of course, astronauts. These core building blocks form the foundation of the incredible achievements of NASA. The astronaut training experience here at the Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex works with some of these bright children who may one day be the people who walk across the gantry into a capsule on their way to Mars.
My favorite thing about space is how we know so much, but then there's so much we can learn about it because of how big and endless it is.
What I love about the ATX Center is the microgravity simulator. That was really fun because it felt like you were fixing the ISS in like zero gravity. My favorite thing here at the visitor complex, if I had to choose, would be the shuttle launch simulator, because it's so awesome to feel what I feel like when I take off.
More than 60 years of innately curious and wildly ambitious space pioneers have led us to countless new discoveries and modern conveniences we enjoy today. Literally thousands of items can trace their roots back to NASA. From smoke detectors and memory foam mattresses to life-saving medical equipment. It's amazing how the work being done to take us thousands of miles into space is also making life better right here on Earth. Of all the benefits of modern technology, perhaps none are more powerful than our ability to connect with another person anywhere, instantly. To pick up a cell phone and call a loved one many thousands of miles away. To instantly share a photo with our network of friends. To collaborate and share information with like-minded people to create something great together. In a way, the modern communications technologies are making Earth feel like a smaller place. And while they are bringing us closer together, they are also enabling us to look further beyond our horizons. The journey starts here. By going behind the gates at Kennedy Space Center today, we each took our own small step toward the future of space exploration by learning and being inspired by the incredible achievements of NASA.
Folks, just want to point out real quick over here to the right, you see NASA's latest project here, this massive solar farm that they have installed. And this solar farm is taking up 491 acres. And combined with the other solar farms that they have around the property here, they're literally looking forward to this helping take care of the majority of their electric. That'll be a great asset for them. As we pull in here, right on the corner is the home of Atlantis. She is sitting in the building as if she's flying in space. And one thing for sure you don't want to miss is seeing Atlantis. It's an amazing display of that orbiter. The building connected to Atlantis right here is the shuttle launch experience, the launch simulator. And that is not a thrill ride. It's a real simulation of what the first few minutes were of a shuttle launch, and it was designed by our shuttle astronauts. So you have some neat things that you can do there. And then as we round the corner up here, folks, on over in the middle of the complex, you can see a big building with a dark purple band around the top of it. That is the IMAX theater known as Planet Play. And you have some amazing 3D movies there, and you're entitled to any of those that you would like to see. And they are amazing 3D movies. And then behind the Planet Play is a brand new facility